Hi, Alex here from Nintu, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through how the typography system works with the Nintu component kit using both Tailwind and WordPress for your website. Now, we're going to dive straight into the page builder, and I have pre-configured here a quick page with our different headings from H1 to H6. And I'm going to walk you through the different ways of styling your text, as well as the different typography plugins that are added to Tailwind to help you manage this text globally. Now, starting with our different headings, it's quite straightforward. If you add a heading to a page and you give it the right heading tag, such as H1, will automatically apply the right styling to that heading. If you were to change that heading tag to, let's say, a H4, you can see then that the styling changes with it. Now, there are 5 core things that you need to understand when using your typography with the Nintu framework. The first is that everything is fluid. What that means is essentially when you're looking at a page on a big screen, the text will automatically scale to that larger size. And as the viewport shrinks, or you look at it on smaller screens, the text will slowly shrink to a minimum set size. You can customize the fluid settings in your config and CSS file, but we'll have a separate video covering how to set up fluid settings for both typography and spacing on your website. Second thing you need to know is that everything comes pre-configured for light dark mode out of the box. Now, if we looked at this in action, you can see we've got all of our different headings here. We haven't applied any styling or any classes to them. But if we have a look at that on the front end and switch it then to dark mode, you can see it'll automatically adapt the color of the text to that light or dark mode that you're using. Third thing you need to know is that there are 6 default sizes styles out of the box. Now, for consistency, I've created these with the exact same naming convention as we have with our different H headings. So if we looked at our heading 1 here, for example, and we wanted it to be the size or the style of a heading 2, I can simply type in H2 and it will then be applied. If I wanted to change the color of that heading, I can just apply a color class. So text-P-500, for example, so that's our primary 500. That will also apply to the heading. And if I wanted to change the dark color, I could just write in dark and then whatever text style I wanted. So I might go text-P-300, apply that. And if we have a look at that then on the front end, see that we've got our big heading or a H1 that's styled like a H2. That is our primary color. And then when we switch over to dark mode, it changes to a slightly lighter color. Now let's remove these so they are all the correct sizes. And let's have a look at our text or body elements. Now these elements are styled in the exact same way as your headings. If we were to add, let's say, a text element, we wanted this text element to look like a H1, to be very big, we could simply add the H1 class to it, and there we go, it applies the H1 styling. Now let's say we wanted to edit all of our H classes, so our heading classes, globally from a single place. How do we do that? Well, we can do that over in the Winden settings. So if we jump over to Winden, you'll find the section called Typography. And inside of this, you'll have your different H classes, so H1 all the way through to H6, and you've got your base settings applied here. So you can see in our case here, we've got extra bold font, a base text color, the text color when it's in dark mode, what type of font is it? Is it sans, serif, or mono, as well as the font size. Now at its core, this is the base way all of the typography works on a Nintu website. There is an additional layer for more advanced users called the Pro system. This is essentially a system that's applied to style all of your different text elements on a page, and it's built by the guys behind Tailwind. And it's also a system that we use on our page here. Now, the idea behind Pros is that you can create some default styling for your entire website so that you don't need to style every single element on each of your pages. Now, we'll do a more in-depth video on how to configure pros and the settings behind that. It's a little bit more complicated than what we have here for our base CSS settings, but I'll give you a quick example of what that looks like when building a website. So if we jump back onto this page, everything that we create within a Nintu section will automatically have pros typography styles applied to it. And that's why when we create a H1, we don't need to add any styling to it. It's automatically styled as a H1. If I wanted to get rid of all of the default styling that comes pre-configured for our elements, and I just wanted basic text, all I'd need to do is select the parent. So I can do this from the section, the container, or I've got a headings div here. So I'll do it on the headings div, and I'll give it a class of not-pros. And this will remove everything that's pre-configured for our typography. So I hit enter there, and you can see it's stripped out all the styling, it's stripped out all the sizes and styling, and it's just applied what we've configured at the base of our CSS file. We could then go from here and be like, all right, H1, I want it to be a H2 size. I'm gonna get a little bit fancy here. H2, I want it to be a H6 size. H3, let's say I want it to be a H1 size. And this one, I wanted it to have much more leading. I could set it up like this, and this is a way that I can then style every single element individually on my page. Now keep in mind, you can also style individual elements when they do have pros. The classes that you apply here within the builder are more specific what's created with the pros classes, and therefore will always take priority over them. And that's why we can do things like having our default styling for our entire website, and then be able to still style every single text element individually if we wanted to. But at least this way we know that out of the box, we have the fluidity, we have the light and dark mode, and we have the consistency across our entire site without having to worry about creating new styles for every single element. All right, that covers all the basics of typography using the Nintu components and system on your Bricks Builder, WordPress, and Tailwind website. Let me know if you have any questions, either in the comments down below, in chat, you can ping me directly, and otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.